before you were struck with this amazing security awareness idea, tell us about the beginnings of how you started in your entrepreneurship.
Yeah, so shoot, I've been an entrepreneur since the age of 21. I was 1995. And the way I got started, I worked for this little company called Circuit City. Not sure if you've heard of them before. Some of your audience will have heard of them, and maybe some of the really young folks in the audience maybe not. Circuit City was basically an electronics store, very similar to Best Buy. And I had kind of a background in computers, just kind of my dad computerized his business when I was really young, and I got really interested in that. And Circuit City, right when I joined, they kind of separated the electronics department from like boom boxes and Walkmans and everything else, and computers into their own department they called SOHO, small office, home office. And so because of my knowledge of computers, I ended up becoming a sales rep, and I work in the SOHO department. Fast forward, I was selling computers. I'd have probably 1 out of 3 of my customers say, can you come to my house and set up my computer for me and show me how to use it and give my kids a tutorial? And remember, this is the time where the first PC was going into the home. So I wasn't going in and like replacing a computer. I was putting a computer in for the very first time.
You were like the Geek Squad before the Geek Squad?
I was the Geek Squad before the Geek Squad, and it's a whole other story, but I pitched Circuit City on the Geek Squad, and they said, that would never work. Anyhow, from the year 1995 to 1997, after being asked so many times, can you come into my house and set this up for me, I finally found an opportunity to do that. And so between those 2 years, I had gone into over 500 people's homes and set up their computers for them. And then naturally, when something would break, and I wasn't formally trained in this area, but when something would break, they would call me and say, hey, Zach, something's not working. Can you come out and fix it? And so I ended up becoming the fix-it guy. So not just the setup and tutorial guy, but the fix-it guy. And graduated in 1997 with a degree in marketing, business marketing from Cal State Northridge. And got to a point where I was getting really bored showing people how to click and right click and double click and, doing these sorts of things. And I said, wow, there's got to be something bigger and better for me out there. And I learned about, the fact that, business networks were kind of starting to become a big deal, right? Where businesses were networking all their computers together. One of the main reasons was so they could share internet access through something like a T1. And so I went and got my Microsoft certification to set up business networks, went back to my home clients. And for many of my home clients, they could afford to pay me $40 an hour to come into their home. They were either business executives or small business owners themselves. And so I went marketed to them and say, hey, I can now do what I do at your home. I can do it at your business. And so in a very, very short period of time, probably within about 6 months, I got so busy I had to hire a guy to take over my home client business. Then I hired another guy to help me on the business side. And we just kind of grew one customer, one employee at a time. The company was called Calnet Technology Group, and I think that really got its start like in 1997. So between 1997 and I sold the business in 2013, October 18th. So it was actually our 7-year anniversary 3 days ago.
Wow.
By the time I sold the business, we were doing about 20 million in annual revenue and had almost 100 employees. And so just kind of organically grew that business over, 17 years. And that was really my first entrance into, being an entrepreneur and really where I have the most experience.
Wow, that's crazy.